Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Can you hear me all right, Sarah? Okay, great. Well, welcome to Design 355, which is Graphic Design Business Management. First of all, I already told Sarah this in the chat, but for those of you watching the recording, I've got a bit of a cold today, and so I apologize if my voice gets all cracky, and I'll probably have to be popping in cough drops and taking drinks of water throughout. But so no, Sarah, will you be sure and just let me know if it ever gets to where you can't hear me very well? Thank you. Okay, so today what we are going to be doing, we're going to go over the class a little bit, go over the syllabus, and just the general ins and outs of the course. A lot of that is going to be the same as other courses you've had, so I'm sure that you'll be familiar. We're going to look at some of the things you're supposed to do for week one. It's titled readings here, but most of it's videos, to be honest. But there are some readings as well. We're going to talk a little bit about what you're going to be doing in your week 4 assignment, or it's assessment, so that we can be thinking about that as we move through the class. And we're going to talk about some of the stuff that's basically accessing lynda.com, where you're going to have a lot of your required viewing. And then we're going to talk about the discussion for this week and the assignment for this week and the assessment for this week. Some of you that are watching this probably have me before. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Jason Merrill. I've been here at the school for a little over 6.5 years now. I've been doing graphic design for, probably close to 15 years now. And I've got kind of a pretty diverse background. I used to work for Apple Computers directly. I've worked for a graphic design studio, done lots of freelance work. And because I in addition to doing my design work, I also run a Mac consulting business. For my time at Apple, afterwards I had several people that wanted me to still be working with them, and so I just started doing it freelance, and I now have several individuals and companies that have me come out and teach them how to do things on Macs or iPhones or iPads, things like that. And so because I run my own business there, and because the freelance business, I actually decided a while ago that I wanted to have more education as far as running a business as well. And so I actually have a bachelor's degree in business, and I am, in October, I'll be finishing my master's in business administration as well. So this is a topic that I kind of know from both ends, from both the design aspect of it as well as the business aspect of it. Thank you. And so we'll be going over a lot of important information throughout the class. Really, this is, before we get too much more into just the classroom itself, I want to make sure everyone understands why you would take this. A lot of designers go into, or well, like I said, a lot of students go into the program anticipating that they would like to do freelance design work or run their own business after graduating. And that is a very common thing in the design world, especially even those who work for businesses often have freelance on the side, just for some additional income and some diversity in the projects they do. It's just for fun sometimes. And so even if you are not planning on doing freelance, even if you are thinking, well, no, when I'm done, I want to go get a job for a graphic design studio, or I want to do in-house design, this is still going to be very useful to you, more than likely, because there's a good possibility that you will at some point think, you know what, I'd love to do some freelance on the side to bring in some extra income. Or you may work in-house or for a studio for several years and then feel like, you know what, I really feel like I've gained a lot of skills and I know what I'm doing here and it sounds fun to me to run my own business. So don't, anyone who's thinking, I don't think I'm going to run my own business, don't discount it entirely. Still, the things you're going to learn in this class will probably be something that down the line you'll find yourself wanting to use. Okay. So before I go any further, let me know a little bit. It's just Sarah that's here right now, but Sarah, let me know where are you located and what time zone, and then what do you do outside? Are you a full-time student, or do you work full-time or work part-time? Close to Boise? Okay, so same time zone as me. Nice. And full-time mom, homeschooling kids too, so you are a busy lady. All right. Well, glad to have you here, Sarah. And for those of you who are watching, recording, and not here, let me jump into the course real quick. And in our we have a discussion this week that is not graded, that has to do with your career plans, and we'll look at that in a few minutes. But for those of you who are watching this, if you could just answer those same questions for me when you do that as well, just so you know where you're located, what time zone you're in, and what you do now, as well as what you're planning for the future. And we'll look more at that in a minute. Okay, so our live session, and this is actually incorrect. Our live session, let me get rid of this up here. We're going to be doing 2 of them a week. It's Tuesday and Thursday, and you know, Sarah, obviously you know this because you're here now, but for those watching the recording, it's at 1 p.m. Mountain Time. And please, if you're able to come, definitely come. It's always great to have more people here and be able to discuss things, and that gives the opportunity to ask questions if you're struggling with anything. But it also, but if you're not able to come, just definitely make sure that you're watching the recordings every single week, okay? Now, as far as due dates, all of the assignments and assessments are due by Saturday at midnight, 11:59 technically, for full credit. The way we're going to do late work, if you need to turn anything late, up to 1 week late, you can just go ahead and turn it in, and there's a 20% deduction for it being turned in late, but that still leaves 80% available for your grade, so definitely worth doing. But if it's going to be more than a week late, if there's something that's come up, some sort of a situation that's caused you to get out more than a week late on something, I will still accept it, but you need to just talk to me about it first. So, you know, you can call me or email me, and that way we can also just kind of make a plan and make sure that you're able to catch up by the end of the course. So up to 1 week late, just go ahead and turn it in, and there is the deduction, but definitely better than not turning it at all. Anything over a week, email me or call me, and we'll get you an extension and talk about things. Okay. The week 4 assignment cannot be turned in late, and that's because the course ends and I have to get final grades in, so I don't have any way to get it late, accept it late. So definitely be sure you're giving yourself enough time in week 4 to make sure that it gets in on time. And the week 4 one takes quite a bit of writing, so you'll want to start on it early in the week. As far as discussions, the initial discussion post, your answer to the discussion prompt needs to be in by Wednesday at 11:59 p.m. And then you need to have at least 2 responses to your fellow classmates in by Saturday at 11:59 p.m. And there's one other rule with the discussion. Let's add it right here. You must participate in the discussions on more than 1 day each week. So don't go in on Tuesday or Wednesday and do your initial post and do 2 replies and then just never look in there again. You need to have some post in there on at least 2 days of the week. So you could go in on Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday and do that initial post, and then maybe reply to 1 person or not reply to anyone, and then go in there on another day and do the other replies that you need to do. Okay? And we'll be going over additional information, tips, and help for all the assignments and assessments when we're in the live sessions here. So any questions at all on due dates or anything like that? Yeah, pretty standard. Okay. All right, well, jumping back into our classroom. First of all, here on the main page, if you go into Instructor Bio, this has a little more information on me, but it also has my contact information. So if you need to get a hold of me, this is where you can go to get my phone number and my email address. I'm also an associate dean here at the school as well as an instructor, and so I am in meetings quite a bit, and I'm teaching and things like that. So if you call me, there's a very good chance you're going to get my voicemail, and that's totally fine. Just leave me a voicemail, and I will definitely get back to you as soon as I can, and it will be quick. But if you email me, you're likely to get a quicker response because my emails go directly to my phone, and a lot of times I can reply to an email when I'm in a situation where I couldn't necessarily call someone back, like if I'm sitting in a meeting or something like that. So if you need a quick response to something, email is going to be your best bet on that. But if you want to talk on the phone, definitely give me a call, and if I don't answer, just leave a voicemail and I will call you back. Okay. Also on the front page, here in this live session link, we have the link to get into the live sessions, but also this is one of the places I'll be posting all of the recordings. So you can come in here to find the recordings of both sessions every week. I will also be posting those in the announcements, which we'll talk about in a minute, and I will also be sending out an email with the recording link as well. So plenty of places to find the recording link, but this is one of them. So speaking of the announcements, I'll be posting important things in here throughout the course, so just do me a favor, and whenever you log into the course to do some work on something, just take a moment and click on the announcements, and if there's something in there that you haven't read yet, something new, just take a minute and read that real quick. Right now, an important one we have in here is about our program coach. Our program coach is Christy Paulson. I'm sure some of you have worked with program coaches before. And I've got that actually, the wording wrong there. Let's change that real quick. And some of you have probably worked with Christy herself before. But basically what a learning coach is here for, the learning coach is here to help you if you are struggling with any of the work or the concepts that we're covering in the class, okay? And every single week, Christy is going to be posting her schedule and contact information here in the announcements. So this week you can see that Christy's available Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And she's got her contact information there at the bottom. She does a great job. So if you're feeling like that you aren't sure about what you're supposed to be doing something, or you just want to get a second opinion on it, there's a lot of writing in this class, which I know is going to be unusual for a graphic design course. And so Christy does do writing labs as well and can help you if you're struggling with things like APA formatting. So definitely keep her in mind as a resource. Now, her hours, though she does have some pretty broad hours there, it's entirely possible that you would find yourself in a situation where you are not available any of the hours where Christy is available. And if that's the case, go to the home page here and click on the Student Success Center. And in the Student Success Center, if I click on hours of operation, you can see, I'll click on graphic arts there, and you can see that they have very, very broad hours, right? And late nights and stuff like that. So if you need some help and Christy's not available, then this is a great place to go as well. To get into the Student Success Center, you just click this link back right here, click to enter Student Success Center. But yeah, if you can get into Christy, she's going to be your best bet, just because this is, she's assigned to this class. She'll know more the details of what you're supposed to be doing. But the Student Success Center is staffed by the learning coaches, and so you can definitely get help there if you're not able to meet up with Christy. Okay. Click on the syllabus sometime and make sure and go and just read through this. Again, it's pretty standard. If you've read the syllabus for your other courses, then it's going to be pretty straightforward. But in here, you'll have information on the, where are we? Under course information, you'll have the course objectives, the learning objectives, and you'll have the breakdown as far as how long to expect things to take. And the weight as far as like how much, how much of your grade is impacted by certain assignments, the grading scale, so you can convert your percentage to a letter grade if you need to. All that information is in here. All right. So any questions on any of that? Okay. Now, in addition to these live sessions are going to be more, getting into depth and covering like specific areas that I feel like might be a struggle, or adding some additional information. The bulk of your information is going to come from the required media. So if you click on modules and come over here to course media, in there it's broken down week by week what is the required media, and occasionally you will have some optional additional. Week 4, I think, so in week 4 there's a highly recommended, meaning you don't need to watch this, but it would be really good for you. Most of this stuff is lynda.com stuff. Sarah, have you used lynda.com yet in your other courses? Okay, perfect. I imagine both of you, or most of you watching this have. I'll just point out how to get to it in case you haven't, but I'm guessing most of you have. Anyway, there are a couple of things that aren't lynda.com. So for example, right here, apply for an employee identification number online, which we'll talk about today. There's a link to go read about that. Do you need one? A link to go read about that. Links about registering for the state agencies. Above each of these, it just tells you what learning objective is being covered there. So if you're wondering what this bullet point above it is, it's, we have different learning objectives for every week, and this is saying what one is being addressed here. So for example, one of the learning objectives for this week is to evaluate the legal needs for establishing a design business, and this link helps you to do that. Same with the one underneath it, and same with the one underneath that as well, but that also helps you determine local rules and regulations for establishing a design business. Okay. Then underneath that, it has the lynda.com information. Now, keep in mind, when you go into it, that's a great question, Sarah. We're gonna be talking about the EIN today. The bottom line of it is that it's not a requirement for this class to apply for it. And as you're going to see when we talk about the discussion, it's not even, basically there are specific situations where it is legally required to have one. And for a lot of graphic designers, that's not the situation. For a lot of graphic designers, there is no legal need to have an employee identification number. However, that doesn't mean you wouldn't want one. There are other leads, other reasons besides it being legally mandated why you might want to get one anyway. So yeah, but no, you don't have to apply for one for this course. We just basically want to make sure that you're aware of how you would do that, so that if you decide to do it for yourself, you have the resources. All right. Okay, so with the lynda.com courses, be sure, like when you go into the playlists, they have the whole course, but you don't necessarily have to watch the whole course for the week. So for example, one of the courses we're doing here is running a design business freelancing, okay? And if I go over to the modules and I go to my week 1 lynda.com playlist portal and then click this button here to open lynda.com, now I'll see a different view than you guys would. Yours would take you right to the playlist. Since I'm an instructor, it'll more to like where you edit the playlists. But here's the week 1 playlist, and it's got 2 courses in it: running a design business freelancing and running a design business self-promotion. Now, if I come back over to my media list, you'll see that I've got those 2 courses here, but I've only got certain things I need to watch. So in chapter 1 and chapter 2, and I've got these videos, and so if I come over there and I open up the course, you'll see that this actually has 6 chapters, and you're going to be watching a lot of videos from this course in later weeks as well. So for this class, for this week, I should say, it's just these 4 videos from chapter 1, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 videos from chapter 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it looks like it's basically all of chapter 1 and all of chapter 2. So the reason I want to point that out, because I don't want you to come in here and just be like, oh my gosh, I have to watch this entire course this week, because you don't. It's just stick with the the ones that are listed. Now, obviously, you can watch more than that. There's a lot of great information in here that isn't required. So you can definitely watch more, but you don't have to. Yeah, the Linda videos are fantastic, are they? They've been a really nice addition. But so for this week, you're going to be watching these 4 videos from chapter 1 of that, these 6 videos from chapter 2 of that course. And there's another course called Running as the Design Business Self-Promotion. And there's 3 videos you're going to watch from that: your identity and brand, branding and identity naming, and branding and identity visual system. Okay. And those, and in addition to reading the information on these 3 websites, are your required reading outside of these live sessions. Okay. Any questions on that at all? All right. Well then, excuse me. Let's take a look at our this business plan. Oh, got that in the wrong place. Let's pop it back there. In week 4, if we go to the module for week 4 and come down here, you are going to be doing this assignment, which is getting a business or creating a business plan. Okay. And then you've also got a quiz that week on the information for creating a business plan. So if you go in here, it says this week you will be creating one of the most essential documents for any new business, your business plan. Business plans need to be well thought out, detailed, and specific. So far in this course, we've explored many of the aspects of a business that will be part of your finished business plan: your target audience, your financial estimates, potential challenges and how you can overcome them, etc. Your business plan will allow you to organize all that into a more complete picture of your future business. So, bottom line, you are going to be writing a business plan in week 4. And a business plan is a pretty significant document. It needs to have all these different sections to it. But keep in mind that that's what the rest of the course is preparing you for. So it's not, if you look at, I want you to go in and kind of read this on your own and take a look at it. But the main reason I want you to do that is so you have an idea as we go through the rest of the course of what things to really, kind of make mental note of, so that when we get to week 4, you can remember to put those in your business plan. So you've got these different sections. Your business plan is going to have an executive summary. An executive summary is basically just a summary, like if you were to take the whole business plan and give it and turn it into an elevator speech, basically just a couple of paragraphs that summarizes the whole business plan. The point of an executive summary is basically to convince someone to read the rest of the business plan. So they could just read that part, get a good general idea of what your business plan is, and then then decide, okay, yeah, I'm interested. Let's read the rest of this. You're going to have a section on your organization and management. So basically, who are you? How's the company going to be organized? What type of company is it legally? You're going to have the company description. So what is it that you do? What is your company? And that you're going to have your service and product line, which in your case is probably going to be graphic design, but that can be specific. It could be logos. It could be you do websites. You're going to go into specifics about your service or product line. You're going to have your financial projections, which we are actually going to be doing in week 3. So you don't need to worry about doing that as part of week 4. You're just going to include it in your business plan. Market analysis. So basically looking at what is the current state of the market that you are going to be trying to break into, right? What are your competitors like? How much money do people spend a year on it? Things like that. And then your marketing and sales. So how do you plan to promote your business? How do you plan to find new clients? How do you plan to sell your product? So, detailed plans there. So just keep those things in mind as we go through the course, so you can kind of set things aside and say, okay, I'm going to need that in there. Oh, you're right. It does say week 1. Thank you for pointing that out. Let me see if I've got that. Make sure I'm remembering that right, and I'll change it if I'm not. Yeah, it is not. It is from week 2. So yes, thank you. Let me make a note of that. because I not only need to fix it in this class, but make sure it gets fixed for future classes. Okay. Let's go back over there and just change that real quick for us. Okay. So yeah, that's going to be kind of that's our end goal. This is where this class is going to finish, is with you having a complete business plan. Now I'll show you sort of an example of a business plan. Well, not sort of. I'll show you an example of a business plan. Keep in mind, this is a real business plan, and it's a business plan that I did for a company several years ago that I was starting, like a long time ago, actually now, almost 10 years ago. So this doesn't necessarily, when you're doing a real business plan, these are sometimes called different things, and sometimes you have additional parts to a business plan that are not that are not those categories. So this business plan I'm going to show you doesn't necessarily have this exact organization, but it does have all this information in it. And I want you to just kind of get an idea of what that would look like. Hang on a sec while I find that real quick. So this company was a company that I started in 2007. It was called Ink Threat. And the idea of the company was that we had a website, and graphic designers would submit, well, they didn't have to be a designer, anyone would submit ideas for t-shirts, designs that they liked for t-shirts to the website. And then the users of the website would vote for those, the ones they liked the most, and the t-shirts that got the most votes would be produced into an actual t-shirt, and the artist that had made the design would get a cut of the money that was for every t-shirt sold, and so on and so forth. So it was a fun way for artists to get their work out there and to get feedback and stuff. It was a fun way for normal people to go just look at cool designs and see what they like and didn't like. And as far as businesses went, as far as we would sell them online, but also we were going to have them in stores. And the stores really liked the idea that they didn't have to wonder whether this was going to be a popular shirt or not. They already gotten feedback from lots and lots of people saying, yeah, we like that design. We would like to buy it, right? And it was unfortunate because it was actually, everything was going fantastic. I ended up getting 2 rounds of funding from investors on this, got the website up and running, got tons of submission, got some great shirts going, even printed one shirt. But the problem was it was right when the recession hit. And notice this date was not a good date to start a business. It was right when the recession hit, and that caused the costs of the materials and the printing to go up significantly. And I had budgeted this plan based upon outsourcing all that, buying the shirts from actually American Apparel, and then having them printed by a local screen printer here. And so I didn't have to run my own print shop. And the problem is that became financially impossible. In order for me to do the business financially viable, I had to start my own print shop, and I didn't have the funds to do that, so I ended up closing the business. But yeah, so that's why there is no Ink Threat anymore, but there is all sorts of things like business plans and logos and stuff from it. So this is Ink Threat's business plan. And like I said, this managed to get, I showed this to investors and got, how much? Altogether, right around $100,000 of investment money. So, this is a good example of a successful business plan. So first of all, because you guys are designers, when you're doing your business plan, you want it to look nice. You don't want this to be like just a word template. You want to put some design into it. So you'll notice that I had some things like the logo, and that I used a nice font and did some color and tried to make it laid out nice. Now, this summary would be the same thing as the executive summary. You see, I talked about the objective, the company details, preliminary projections, just a quick, that's how long it is right there, just a quick, here's what's in the business plan. So that someone could just read this part and think, oh, that's actually really interesting. Let's take a look at the rest of it, right? And then a section called operation is what I called it. Here's the product, which again, in yours would be your product or services. This is where I talked about what it is we sell. This is my competition, which would be part of your market analysis. So who else is doing this and why am I going to succeed over them? Manufacturing and sales. So how am I, how am I going to be making my product and how do I plan to sell them? More market analysis here. The target market I'm going for, which we'll be talking about quite a bit today, target markets. What do I think is the potential and growth for this? So why am I going to succeed in this business? The communication strategy. So this would be your marketing and sales. How do I plan on getting these out there? And I had direct retail contact, viral marketing, charity events. I had a couple of insiders in the film and television and the music industry. They're going to be working with us. That's additional exposure. So that again, that would be kind of like your marketing and sales section. Management, this is who am I? Like, why am I? Who's going to be part of this? Brandon Pierce was a guy working on the website with me. I had a couple of consultants and resources that are going to be working with me. This would be the same as your organization and management. Up higher, I've said that it's an LLC, so that would be the organization. This is what's called an appendix, where you just have additional information. So these were some examples of some of the designs that we had. And then my cash flow projections. Now, this is much more in depth than yours is going to end up being, but this was, obviously like a bigger business. Now I only did 2 years, and yours is going to be 3. But this is a bigger business plan than yours will probably end up being. But this is a good idea of what a business plan is. And as you can see, there's a lot of thought and a lot that goes into it. So that's why I'm saying, start thinking about it now as we're going through these things. And also make sure when we get to week 4 that you're getting started on it early enough in the week so that you can get it in on time. Okay? So any questions about what we're going to be doing in week 4 or business plans in general? All right. And then let's go into our work for this week. Jump back to I was off on timing a little bit, so our break will happen later. But for now, so let's look at our discussion. So first of all, we have this introduce yourself discussion. This is not graded, but a good way to get to know each other and just kind of for me to see what your plans are and what position you're coming at this course from. So it says, in this course, we will be discussing many aspects of working as a freelance designer or owning your own freelance business. Some of you may already have plans to do something like this. Others of you may have plans to work in-house or in a specific industry or for a design studio. Many of you may be undecided on what direction to go. Introduce yourself and tell us a little about your plans for your degree. What do you hope to accomplish in your career? Is there a specific industry for which you're hoping to apply your design skills? What appeals to you about these goals? If you're undecided, what things appeal to you about the options you're considering? So, again, this is not graded, but please go in and do that just so I can, have a better understanding of who you are and where you're coming from as you're doing this. We do have a graded discussion, and that's this one here on the employer identification number. Pardon me. So this says an employer identification number, EIN, is a number used by the IRS to identify businesses with employees and some businesses without employees. This way, the way you use your social security number to file your taxes, get rid of that S. So just so you guys know, you're kind of the guinea pigs. This course, I actually rewrote this entire course, and this is the first time it's being taught after the rewrite. So I'm going to be finding little things like S's that shouldn't be there. Okay, so the way you use your social security number to file your taxes is the same way these businesses use their EINs to file theirs. And again, we've got another S there. Get rid of that in a second. Applying for an EIN is free and easy, and it can be done right on the IRS's website. And if you click that, it'll take you right to it. And then you can click here to see what situations make getting an EIN necessary. And those are the same links that are in your that media course media page that we were just looking at. So even when an EIN is not legally necessary, there are reasons why a business owner may want to get one anyway. Search the internet for reasons a sole proprietor might want to get an EIN even though it isn't legally required. List 2 reasons that you find. Are they compelling to you as a business owner? Do you think it would be a good idea for you to get an EIN for your business? Why or why not? For your citation, you might use articles that show examples of advantages or disadvantages of using an EIN. You can also find articles from experts that suggest getting an EIN or not getting an EIN if you are a sole proprietor. Okay. It says your initial and reply post should work to develop a group understanding of this topic, challenge each other, build on each other, always be respectful, but discuss this and figure it out together. Now, for this, the requirements, you do have to do, the main post has to be at least 200 words, and it has to have 2 APA citations, which are the references, but we got to put the reference in the body as well. And then you need to do 2 follow-up posts, and those need to be at least 50 words. Now, on those follow-up posts, make sure that they're not just, basically saying, yeah, good job, I agree. Obviously, that's hard to do 50 words of doing that. But the main point of the follow-up posts is to add to the conversation. So, discuss what things you agree with, if there's something you disagree with, what and why. Like I said earlier, the initial post needs to be in by Wednesday at midnight, and then the responses by Saturday midnight. So before we look more at EINs, any questions about just the topic in general and what to do for the discussions? Okay. So if you come up here and we click on what situations make getting an EIN necessary, basically if you answer yes to any of these things, you have to have an EIN. So if you have any employees, you have to have an EIN. If you're operating your business as a corporation or as a partnership, you have to have an EIN. If you have any tax returns for unemployment, excise, alcohol, tobacco, or firearms, you need to have an EIN. I don't know what graphic designer would be selling firearms, but you need to have an EIN. Do you withhold taxes on income other than wages paid to a non-resident alien? To do that, you need to have an EIN. Do you have a keg plant, which if you don't know what that is, you don't have one. Are you involved with any of the following types of organizations? So if you have trusts, estates, if you're real estate mortgage investment, nonprofit organizations, farmers cooperatives, or plan administrators, you need to have an EIN. So as you can see, based upon that, there are a lot of graphic designers that are freelance that have no legal need for an EIN. If I'm just running a sole proprietorship, that's just me running my business as a sole proprietorship, I don't have to have an EIN, right? However, like I said in the prompt, there are definitely reasons for getting one anyway, and it's just up to you whether you want to or not. One reason that I put into my, I did a long response to it yesterday, and the reason that I talked about was that to avoid things like identity theft. Yeah, exactly what you said there, Sarah. It protects your social security number. If you're not using an EIN, you have to use your social security number. And so that means that when, I'll give you a perfect example. For one of my businesses, I don't use an EIN. I just use my social. And it's because I know all of my clients really well and I'm not that worried about it, and I've just never taken the time to go get one yet. For my design, I do use one. But at the end of the year, these clients of mine need me to fill out a 1099 for them for their taxes. And that 1099 is then, says they paid me this much money during the year, and then I have to put that on my taxes as well. Well, part of that 1099 wants either my social security number or my EIN. So for those clients, I have to write my social security number on there and I have to send it to them. If I had any concerns whatsoever of them either leaking that information, not handling it properly, or directly using it in an inappropriate way, then that could be a nightmare, right? I mean, I could end up with a major problem with identity theft. So there's one example of why you might want an EIN rather than just using your social security number, even though you don't legally need one. Now, like I said, if you do decide you want to get an EIN, it is so easy to do. All you're going to do is just click this link here or the link that we have in the course media. And this takes you right to the IRS's page for applying for an EIN. First of all, you need to make sure that you are eligible for one, which really, it's hard not to be, but if your principal business is located in the United States or U.S. territories, so you couldn't be doing this from Canada, for example, is the person applying online, that they have a valid taxpayer identification number. So do you have a social security number? If you do, you're good. That's true, Sarah. Good point. If you click the yes on any of those questions on the previous page, the one that helps you to determine whether you need one or not, that also takes you to the same page. And then you can only apply for one EIN per responsible party per day. So I don't see any reason you need to do more than that, but you can only apply for one a day. And then it does not take long at all. You just come over here and click Apply Online Now. And you just click that read this information about getting an EIN. The session expires after 15 minutes of inactivity, so don't start this and then walk away and make some lunch and come back, otherwise it'll start over again. But when you click on Begin Application, then it just walks me through the application. What type of a business am I? You can see right here, if I'm doing sole proprietor, I can just choose that right there, continue, and it just has me fill out some basic information, and that's it. In the end, you have applied, and they will send you they will assign you an EIN. Okay. So, any questions on EINs? And you're just dealing with the IRS that way in general? Okay. Real quick, while I'm in here, I'm just going to get rid of that second S. Okay. All right. Well, so why don't we take a 15-minute break now, and then when we come back, we will look at the assignment and the assessment and talk about more things concerning those. All right. I am going to just set a timer here. And I will see you in 15 minutes. Okay, we are back. Can you hear me all right, Sarah? Perfect. All right, let's go look at the assignment for this week. So the assignment has to do with registering your business, okay? Now, the requirements for registering your business are different depending on your location. States have different requirements. Even even cities can have different requirements. And so a lot of this is going to be teaching you how to find that information for your area. So it says the process of registering a business can vary from state to state. In fact, some states don't even require registration at a state level for certain types of businesses. It is important to understand what will be required for your business in your state. For this assignment, click here to go to the Small Business Administration's page on registering with state agencies and research what the steps are in your state. Then do additional research and find at least one other source of information on starting a small business where you live. You're going to write a 750-word APA paper that explains to me the steps for registering a business in your state, plus any additional advice or warnings that you find. And then it says if you have trouble with the link, copy and paste this address in your browser. So that's just the same address as right there where it says click here. Okay. So if you come here and click on that link, here we are at the Small Business Administration's website, and down lower on here, it's got information on registering with state agencies. So for example, for me, I would say that I'm in Utah, and it's going to take me directly to the state of Utah's page on registering a business, okay? So for example, I could click on register a new business, and see what I need to do in order to get set up there. I've got DBA, which looks like it's the exact same link there. I can learn about domestic, LLCs and stuff like that. So this is going to be more, depending on your state's website, it might be a lot of information about what you do, what you don't, or it might just be, here's where you register it, in which case you'll be able to see the steps required. But in that case, you need to find what's necessary for your type of business in that additional research. Okay. Now, there are several different kinds of businesses. We've talked about sole proprietorships a bit, which is going to be your, where it's just you and you alone, and you're generally doing business in your own name. Or there are partnerships where there's the two of you together. LLCs, which stands for limited liability corporation company. I think it's a limited liability company. And then there's corporations. An LLC is similar to a corporation, but doesn't have as many requirements as corporations do. For example, you can just be an individual person with an LLC, where corporations require a board. So, and one thing that I really want to drive home and for you guys to understand is that what's right in one place is not necessarily right somewhere else. And that's a really important lesson to learn. And I'll give you an example of that. Here in the state of Utah, if you're starting a business, even if it's just you and you alone, there are big advantages to starting an LLC. There are tax advantages to starting an LLC. There are, one of the nice things about an LLC is it kind of separates you from the business to a degree. So for example, that's what the limited liability means. So for example, if some big thing happened that ended up putting the business in, debt for $1 million or something like that, that wouldn't necessarily be your personal debt. It would be the business's debt. You can kind of just separate it out from yourself a little bit. And there's really not much advantage to doing a corporation here versus an LLC. In fact, it's just more paperwork and more headache. And so most people that just do their own businesses that know what they're doing here tend to do LLCs unless they're a larger business. Like if it's just them, they tend to do LLCs. And a friend of mine who had done his own business here, he works in television. He's actually one of the producers for American Idol. and Ellen and a bunch of shows like that. But he also did, he is a photographer. His dad was a photographer, and so he's always enjoying doing photography and doing videography. And so he's kind of just done that on the side, freelance work, doing photography, doing videography. And here in Utah, he had an LLC, and that was just great. And he and I grew up together, went to high school together, and college afterwards. And so he'd had an LLC, I had an LLC. We were both young, and he then went to go to film school in California. And he moved to California, went to film school, started working in that industry, and a few years later decided, oh, I'd like to start doing freelance stuff again. I've got more time. I think I'm going to start that up. So he didn't check with anyone, didn't ask anyone any questions. He just went and started an LLC, just like he'd done here. And at the end of the year, he went and took his stuff to an accountant to have an accountant do the taxes. And this accountant looked over his stuff and said, wait, why are you an LLC? And he said, oh, because of how much better it is for this reason and this reason. And the accountant said, oh, no, not in California. That may be the way it is in Utah, but in California, an LLC is a horrible thing for you to have in your particular situation. It's going to cost you way more in taxes than if you'd done a corporation. You should have done a corporation here. That would have been totally the way to go. And so bottom line is, find out what's best for your state. And you can, and when you're, for this paper, that can be just getting online and doing some research. When you're actually looking to register your business, my personal advice would be to talk to an accountant or an attorney in your area. Just to do a quick, it shouldn't cost anything or much to just get some feedback. What type of business should I start? Because they're going to know best and for your particular area, and it could save you some pretty significant headache down the line to do the right one up front. All right. Now this does need to be APA formatted, and I know that, you guys learned APA in your early courses, but I know that writing work has been pretty small as far as your courses, at least your design courses. So I want to make sure you're aware of the resources that you have available to you when it comes to APA formatting. First of all, if you go into, and I have to find this, they moved it around. So on the home page, if you click on Shark, and, well, first of all, this is a very useful thing, the Writing Center. So this Writing Center basically allows you to schedule one-on-one sessions with specialists that can help you with your writing, with APA, making sure that you're doing well as far as grammar and stuff like that. So this is a fantastic resource and one that I would recommend taking advantage of. But the other thing I wanted to show you, where on earth did they move it to? Okay, I think it's in this help section. Or no, maybe not. Frequently asked questions. Sorry, they just redid Shark as well. Well, I may have to, maybe I'll look for it and show you guys where this particular resource is on Friday. Oh, or on Thursday. Oh, no, this is it right here. Okay. So click on Shark. It's a video on APA. Click on Shark and then go into the library. And then in the library, you're going to click on Writing Resources. And in here, there's a video called APA Made Easy that was made by Dr. Alan Hansen, who is our one of our administrators here. And he goes through a lot of detail on that. So if you have questions about APA, this is a fantastic video on that. You've also got a shorter video on just doing in-text citations, if that's something you struggle with. And then there's a video of APA format in Word, and it's supposedly 2010, but it doesn't change that much. So those are some good resources for it there too, okay? Other resources that I really like, if you just do a search for APA format, the very top thing is this Purdue OWL. Purdue OWL is from Purdue University, and it just has everything on APA. And there, it's, you know, so here's, for example, I could learn about the title page, and it's got all the information necessary. If I'm specifically looking information on how to do my reference list, and I've got, you know, basic rules, authors, articles and periodicals. So maybe it's specifically electronic sources. I can click on that, and it'll break down how to do my reference page there. Okay, so this is a much more, I guess, exhaustive resource. Like, it has just everything, but it is a fantastic resource if you're looking to get information on APA. Another site that I personally really enjoy is called Citation Machine, and the URL is citationmachine.net. Okay, citationmachine.net is basically a way to automatically create your citations, and then you can just copy and paste them over. So if I come here and I say that I'm doing APA, then it says, okay, so what is this? A book, magazine, newspaper, website. So let's say, let's go to why get an EIN. Let's find an article from a I want to get one that has an author. I think some of these websites don't have authors, which is fine. You can definitely cite one without an author. But let's try Forbes. Okay, let's say that this is an article that you're looking at. Oh, Forbes, you and your ads. Okay. So let's say this is an article that I've used in my paper. Well, I can just copy the link to that, and I can go over here and I can say that this is from a website, or it could say magazine because it is Forbes, and it probably has another magazine too. And then I just paste the URL, and it searches, and it says, okay, so we found this. I choose select, and it says, okay, so I've found this information, but I couldn't find this additional information. Sometimes it'll find everything for you, sometimes it doesn't. It might have done better if I put this in as a magazine, but bottom line, it'll fill in what it's found, and then you have to fill in the rest. So I would just come over here and I could copy this, paste it in there. I can see the author is Kelly Phillips Erb. So I'd say Kelly Phillips Erb. Here's when was it published, so I can come in here and see, okay, this was from August 21st, 2015. And this is when I accessed it. And then I can just, if there's more than one author, you just click add another contributor, and it'll give you additional spaces for authors. And it's got different types of contributors if it was edited by someone or something. But anyway, once I have the information in there, I just say create citation. And here's my citation. This is from my reference page. I can just copy and paste this. I'll have to format it, make sure it's the right font and stuff in my paper, but I can just copy and paste that for me. I can also click this button that says parenthetical, and it will give me the in-text citation right here. Okay. So that's Citation Machine. It's just a way to quickly make sure that your stuff is formatted correctly for citations, and you can just copy and paste it in your paper. Word also has resources for this. If I'm working in Word, and one thing you guys probably know this, but just make your word count's down here. So again, this has to be 750 pages, or words, sorry, not pages. You don't need to write a long novel. Yeah, I think you'll like it, Sarah. It's one I've used for several years, and it's I've used it in school quite a bit, like when I was a student, and it's a nice site. Anyway, so this is your word count down here. So make sure that hits the 750. And then let's just say that I wanted to use Word for my references. You can come over here to the references in the ribbon, and if you click on citations, this is where you can put in all the citations that you've used. So I can click this plus sign here. I choose what type of citation it is. Maybe this is that one that I was just looking at would be an article in a periodical. And I'd put in that same information on the article. Let's just do a quick. And oh, by the way, down at the bottom, it tells you the format to put things in. So you see, I can see that they want Dickens Charles, not Charles Dickens. So I would say Herb Kelly Phillips. Okay. And if I click edit here, I can, again, put in what it's supposed to be, and it will give me the right format there. I can put the title of the book right there. Periodical title was Forbes. It was published 2015, August. I can't remember the date. I think it was 21st maybe. And if I have this additional information, I can put it, but I don't have to. The only ones necessary are the ones with the star. Pages, I don't, because it's online, I don't have that, so I'll just leave it. It's recommended field, I should say, as the star. And when I'm done, I just click OK. All right. And you see that it adds that to my citations. And I can do as many as I want. And the nice thing about this is I can say something like, it is important that businesses file their taxes in a timely manner. And let's say I got that from this article. I can then come over and just click on, or double click on that, and it inserts my parenthetical citation, and then I can just keep typing. Okay, so it keeps things nice and formatted, it keeps things there. I'm not a big fan of the way it formats the reference page, so I don't use this very much, but a lot of people love it. So this may be, maybe your favorite thing. I just want you to know it's there. And then when I'm ready to do my format, my reference page, I'm going to insert a page break, so I'm down to a fresh page. And then I just come up here, and so I've got these two options, bibliography or works cited. So I'll just do works cited, and you see that it pops that in for me. Yeah, exactly. It doesn't call it references, and it doesn't do the hanging indent. Yeah, I always end up changing this anyway. But again, if this can be a good time saver if it's something that you like using. All right. So anyway, yeah, lots of resources to make sure you've got this, got the formatting right. Also, just be very careful with things like spelling and grammar. Make sure to use the spell checker, but also make sure to proofread it, because the spell checker is not going to catch, for example, if you use a word that happens to be spelled right as another word, for example, if I meant to write top and I accidentally forgot, I didn't tap the P, and so I end up with a TO, then it's not going to catch that in the spell checker, because TO is a word, right? So definitely proofread it as well. I actually like to have a third person, like someone else is not me, proofread my papers, just because it's easy for me to overlook mistakes that I made, rather than where other people will stand out to them more. So that is yeah, exactly. Your brain just kind of fills in the gaps as you go through it. So that is the assignment for this week. And again, it should give you some good information on what's necessary for your particular state legally. Again, like I said, in the state, like where I am, I actually, for doing freelance design, I don't even have to register a business, so it's just going to vary from state to state. And again, just like normal, that doesn't mean I don't want to. It just means I don't have to. So any questions at all on the assignment for this week? Okay. let's go take a look at the assessment then. Okay, so for our assessment, we are going to start looking at your target market and your brand. Okay, so you're going to be analyzing your personal style as a designer, identifying a business's target market, and developing a business brand. It says a target market is the specific section of the population to which a business is aiming to sell its products or services. For example, Babies R Us, new parents, Xbox targets gamers, etc. Now, that is broad. There's actually more than that. Babies R Us doesn't just target new parents, but it targets certain demographics, age brackets, financial brackets, stuff like that. But in generality, they target new parents. It's important for every business to identify their target market. A business cannot appeal to everyone. So knowing their target market allows them to focus their marketing and brand on reaching those who are most likely to become good customers. In order to best do that, it's important that we first identify our personal style as designers. So before we go on and look at what we're going to be doing here, let's talk a little bit about target markets. This is something that when students are looking at doing freelance design, it's often something that they haven't really thought about at all. Because in their mind, their target market is just anyone that needs a design done. Now, that is their potential clients. Definitely, anyone who needs a design done can come to a graphic designer and hire them and have them do something. The difference in a target market is you are basically identifying who is most likely to become your client, and so who do you want to make the effort to seek after? Okay. I'll give you a couple of examples. So the graphic design studio that I used to work for, well, actually, before I do that, let's look at a big example. Let's look at Apple Computers. Apple Computers is the most profitable company in the world, right? Their profits, not revenues, but the actual profits they take home are bigger than like Microsoft, Facebook, Amazon, Google, all those combined, okay? They make a ton of money in profits. And one of the biggest critiques that you'll hear just the average consumer say about Apple is, oh, their stuff's too expensive, right? Now, the reality of it is, there's actually the Consumer Reports did a big study on this. They called their thing apples to apples, and that is that Apple's products are actually priced very competitively to other products that are the same quality, basically. Like they're priced well against other products that match them, but they don't make any low end. Like if you're going to buy a Mac laptop, they don't make a cheap Mac laptop. They just don't make it. Where if you're going to buy a Windows computer, yeah, I can go and I can get a Windows laptop for $400, no problem. But it's not a very good computer, and it's not going to last me very long, and it's going to be outdated very quickly. And so that's the difference. Now, those are two different target markets. That doesn't mean, oh, Apple's the great company and the one that made the 400 laptop is a crappy company. They have different target markets. Apple's target market is people who want a really high-end device, who are really focused on design, who care a lot about the way that something looks and care a lot about details, and are willing to pay for that. The $400 laptop's target market is people who need a computer and don't want to spend much money on it. They're trying to find the least expensive computer they can find. So those are two different target markets, and each company needs to do the best that they can to make their product and their company appeal to those target markets. So when Apple does advertising, they don't, if you watch an Apple advertisement, they don't spend time talking about the price, right? They also don't spend time talking about the specs. They don't even talk about the specifications of the device. They spend all their time talking about the lifestyle, the design of it, the look of it, and what it's going to do for your life, what's going to, how it's going to be fun and stuff like that. That other company, when they focus on their advertising, they're going to focus very, very heavily on the price. This is how much it costs. And then they're also going to focus on the specs too, because they're going to try to impress people with, you're able to get these specifications for this low price, right? And that's very on purpose. Those are designed. They are thought of long ahead and implemented in order to reach that target market and get that target market to purchase their product, right? If Apple were to make an advertisement that would appeal very heavily to construction workers, let's just say, they make this thing that just really, really appeals to blue collar workers, to manual labor, and folks and stuff like that. They're probably not going to get a lot of headway with it, because those people are going to be like, I'm not saying that there's no construction workers want a Mac laptop, but I'm just saying as a general population, they're going to be like, well, we need something really rugged. We need something inexpensive because they break a lot, out here on the job. So that's going to be kind of a waste of advertising and a waste of effort on Apple's part. Okay. So another example is the graphic design studio that I used to work for. It was a studio called Skogan Group, and they're here in Salt Lake City. And I knew the owner before he hired me. I knew the owner personally, and he had an MBA. His focus was business, and then he had a partner who had a master's in graphic design, and they started this graphic design company. And when I was first talking to him, he was explaining to me the concept of the business. And what it was is that they'd made a decision that they wanted to focus on bigger businesses or organizations who had special project needs and were willing to pay a premium price for those special projects, okay? Because in their mind, that would kind of help to insulate them from recessions. Because if they try to be the low-cost one, we can do all your design and we're so cheap and this and that, then when a recession hits, the people that are paying for that kind of stuff tend to cut back and you lose business. But if you're the person that's, and this is a real example, Philips Technology wanted to put together a marketing campaign for their 100 largest customers. These 100 largest customers spent something like the equivalent of $500 million with them every single year. So these people were very, very important to Philips Technologies. And they wanted to put together a really, 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 and I should point out, these are mostly businesses, not individuals, but, like the businesses that are buying their stuff. But they wanted to put together a campaign that was specifically for those 100 people that said that felt very prestigious, that felt very exclusive, that involved gifts, that involved hand, like custom cut pop-up cards and things like that. And they wanted this because they wanted these people to feel like Philips understands what big customers you are, and we appreciate you so much, and we're sending you this offer, and we're saying thank you for being a customer. So this campaign, Philips paid about $130,000 for this campaign. This between paying Skogan Group and between paying to get the things produced and buying the gifts. And I mean, it was like, beautiful metal compasses and stuff like that. And then shipping these out to these customers. And there was an offer tied to it. So their hope was to get these customers to buy things in return, and therefore they'd actually make money off of it, but at the very least retain these customers. So it's a very different market, because in that situation, even in a recession, especially in a recession, it is extremely important to Philips to hang on to those high-end customers. So they're not going to cut back on that. They still need the really nice high-end promotion to appeal to these customers, right? And so that was Skogan's target market. Was we're expensive, but we're very, very like just top shelf, really, really high end design, really, really high end campaigns, and just so worth it for your customers. And so because of that, they lost a lot of work from the people who wanted cheap work done, but they made, instead of having 200 clients that were paying, $50 an hour for their stuff, having 120 clients that are paying $100 an hour still ends up being more money, right? So they managed to set up a good business for themselves that way. Now, here's the difference between target market and just actual customers. That doesn't mean those were the only customers they got. We would definitely get little local businesses who just needed a logo and identity work done, and they knew they liked our stuff, and so they were willing to pay the money and get it done there, right? Or they knew someone there and wanted to send business their way, things like that. We did an entire campaign for the Utah Scottish Association for their Utah Scottish Festival that they do every year. So we didn't just have those, those bigger high-end clients, but those were the ones that we sought after. We weren't throwing a ton of marketing money and a ton of like designing our logo, designing our advertising to seek after those, little local organizations, because that wasn't our average, exactly, the average Joe, because that wasn't our average customer. And so that, we were focusing on who we were most likely to get as a customer. Okay. So what you're going to be doing for this, in this assignment, create a mood board that conveys your personal style as a designer. So your mood board needs to have 3 keywords, a 3-color design of color scheme of your choosing, a variety of images that you think are a good representation of who you are and then that would be professionally as a designer. And those images can be design examples that you've done. They can be inspiration, things that inspire you, that you enjoy, whatever you think is appropriate for that, whatever really shows who you are as a designer. And then your personal logo, okay? And it says, remember the elements of design when creating your mood board. This is your layout and composition should reflect your skills as a designer. So you're not just going to throw this together. Make it look nice. Do it as your design, right? Once you have that done, and the mood board submitted as a PDF, and you can do the mood board in I would recommend either Illustrator or InDesign would be the best ones to do that in. Once you've done your mood board, you're going to look at your mood board, and based upon what you see in your mood board, you're going to identify at least 3 types of businesses or individuals who would be a good target market for your business. And then you're going to, in Word, write 2 to 3 sentences for each one and why they're a good fit for your style as a designer. Okay? So, to give you an example, let's just say, let me pull this over here. Oh, that's not what I want to do. Let's go into Illustrator. So first of all, this is my logo. What you're seeing on my desktop, that's my personal logo. Okay. If I were to do a mood board with my 3 colors, I would probably do the sentences in a Word document. Yeah, so 2 documents, the one with the thing and then the Word document. So if I were to do mine, let's just say I'm doing this, and maybe I want maybe my color scheme is going to be here. Oh, whoops, wrong key. And let's grab those, and let's go to align and make sure we're aligning to the selection, and let's distribute them vertically and make sure that they are aligned to the artboard on the right. Okay, so I would spend more time on this in myself, but let's just, based upon what I know about Oh, that's not what I want. You know, maybe I would do, yeah, that's a good one. And then maybe an orange with it, but not that orange. Something like that, right? So maybe this is my 3-color scheme that I like for myself. And then I put some images in there, and those images would probably be, you know, maybe I'd put some salt baths in there for some inspiration, or some of the stuff that I've done. And then I've got my logo, right? And then I've got, let's see, is that everything we're putting into it? And then 3 keywords. And so my keywords, you know, maybe they would be precise. Maybe they would be clean. And then let's say elegant, okay? Or sophisticated. How's that? Precise, clean, and sophisticated. I tend to really like doing clean, you know, like clean designs. So looking at that, looking at my logo, thinking about those keywords, thinking about those colors, as I'm thinking about what type of businesses I'm going to be looking for. No, I'm not. I minimized AI. I'm just talking now. Looking at those things, I might feel like, okay, now, and before I go on, you should know, when I say to 3 types of businesses, it could be specific, like, categories of business, like maybe you're going to be looking for attorneys, but that's not necessarily, you know, it could be, when I say types of businesses, type of business could be small businesses. Type of business could be local businesses. Type of business could be businesses with a large budget, or businesses who are looking to save money, right? And so for my personal stuff, I would say, well, I probably would be looking for technology businesses would be one that worked really well with mine. That clean, modern look. I would probably be looking for, with the type of design that I'm doing, I'd probably be looking for businesses with a higher budget, because like little mom and pop shops and stuff wouldn't necessarily, they'd probably have a different taste in design, more eclectic than my design tends to be. And maybe I'd be looking for, let's see, what's another good one? Professional businesses, things like architects, lawyers, doctors, stuff like that, right? And so I would put those in there, and then I'd write 2 or 3 sentences of why. Why do I see that being a good fit for my type of design based upon my design work, right? So then when the reason for this is when I'm putting together a marketing plan, what I want to do, what I want my stuff to look like, and how I want it to present myself, I can keep those target businesses in mind and just basically ask myself, so if this is this brochure that I just made, or this postcard that I just made that advertises me as a designer, how do I think that this would, like, what would a tech company think of this? What would a professional company think of this? You know, and if I feel like that it wouldn't work well for them, then I don't want to go that route. I want to be going for the ones who are really most likely to go for me. You know, with my logo here, I'm not likely to get, for example, a craft store to be like, ooh, I look at your clean, sharp lines and smooth curves, and it makes me think of quilts, right? No, not at all. But that doesn't mean a craft store is not going to come to me and say, hey, we need a coupon made, or we need a advertisement made. And that I'm not going to say, oh, I'm sorry, I focus on professional companies and tech companies, so no. You know, of course, I'm going to do it, absolutely. And I'm going to do my research, and I'm going to, you know, do my creative brief, and I'm going to make their thing for their company, not for my style, for their company. But I'm not going to actively market to them, because I don't think of them as my target market. Does that make sense? All right. So I want to do a little exercise then. I want you to then this will kind of give you a head start on your assessment for this week. We're gonna take 15 minutes real quick. I'm gonna just kind of turn off the mic, and during those 15 minutes, you don't have to create your mood board yet, but just kind of, you know, if you have a logo, look at it, think about what colors you might choose, think about what keywords you might choose. You can write those down. The keywords, so you have them for when you do your mood board, and based on those, think of kind of an introductory. Think of two for now. Think of two types of businesses that you think would work well as a target market. And after the 15 minutes, I just want to hear from you what those two businesses are and why you feel like they work well for you as a target market. Okay, does that sound good? All right, so I'm going to just set a timer. That's actually where we are right here. And then keep in mind, last thing, after this is done, when you do your assessment, you actually make your mood board. Just, you don't have to get back to me on this, but just as a mental note, think to yourself, so did it stay the same or did it change? When you actually did the full thing, did you start feeling like, actually, this way, or did it just stay right with what you thought it would be? All right, so 15 minutes, and then I'll jump back on and we'll talk about it. Okay, we are back. So what did you come up with, Sarah? And you're welcome. You can type it or you can turn your mic on if you want. Either way. Well, that's a good idea. It's local city and government offices. Yeah, that's a good category. I actually work with a company sometimes here called Intrepid Agency, and they do public relations. They're won a bunch of awards doing public relations, and they work with a graphic designer friend of mine named Scott Eggers, and one of their main clients is the Utah Department of Transportation. And I think a lot of people don't think about that, but the fact is that city and government offices do have a lot of need for graphic design. They produce a lot of signage and flyers and things like that. And so yeah, that's a great area to look at. Good thinking. Well, and then there you go. You can push that. The other thing to consider, not necessarily for this assignment. For this assignment, go based upon what works well with your design style. But when you're doing your business plan, when you're doing your actual target market, it's not just what works best for you, but also what works best for them. So you want to be, for example, it's not like Skogan Group was like, oh, hey, we'd just much rather work with the clients that are bigger and pay a lot of money. They specifically saw a niche for that. They thought there was a need for it. So, for example, if you live in a town where there's a lot of small businesses, a lot of local businesses, a perfect example would be I used to live in Seattle, and if I were a graphic designer in Seattle, I would see big possibility either doing design for tech industries or for doing design for local businesses. Or restaurants, for example, would be another one. So when you're doing your business plan part of it, be thinking of that as well. Like, so what works well with my design, and also what do I feel like there's a need for around me? Where do I feel like that I could actually get work? So, all right, well, great. Well, so any questions at all on the assessment for the week then? Okay, so for Thursday, if you don't have to, this isn't required, but I was going to say, anyone who's finished with or even started on your mood board, bring it to class. And when we get to there on Thursday, we can look at them together as well. And otherwise, that is everything that I have to go over for today. Again, we'll be doing our next live session on Thursday at the same time. If you have any, be sure to write down any questions you run into work-wise if you want to go over them in class on Thursday. That works as well. So if you want me to review something, sharing screens would be the easiest thing, but also you can email it to me. I don't actually look in I actually should have said this earlier. I do all the grading for this course on Mondays, and I don't tend to look in the submission areas until Monday. So just for anyone to know that, if you put anything in there, you'll need, and you want me to see before Monday, either email me and let me know it's there, or go in and email it to me directly. But you should have all of your stuff graded every Monday for the previous week. All right. All right. Well, thank you very much for joining me, Sarah, and hopefully I'll see you on Thursday. And otherwise, have a great couple of days. Okay. Thank you. Thanks. I'm sure it'll go quickly. It's annoying as heck in the meantime, though.